Yo guys, welcome back to another video. Today, I'm going to be doing my review of Empire of Silence by Christopher Rocchio. This is the first book of the Sun Eater saga. I recently finished it and wanted to give you guys my thoughts. So, I'm not going to, hang around too much here in the beginning. I'm trying to cut down on doing that and just kind of get right into the review. So without taking too long, I hope you all enjoy the video. Leave a like, subscribe if you haven't already. I'd greatly appreciate it. And if you guys have read the book, definitely let me know what you guys think in the comments. So yeah, without further ado, let's get into it. Alright, so what am I thinking here? First off, was not expecting this to be as dense as it is. What I mean by that is Christopher Rocchio just has a way with writing where it's just so extremely skillful that it's almost like your brain is like exercising, like as you're reading it. Like, I understand what he's saying, and it's not like words where I have to look it up and figure out what it means. Like, I get what it's saying, but it's just written in a way that's just mind-blowing. Like, it's advanced. How he writes, and it's really good. So, I mean, it's not necessarily a bad thing, it's just I wasn't expecting it, which I guess I should have, because a lot of people compare it to Dune, not only in, like, the setting and stuff, but also, I guess, how it's written, and sort of some of the themes and philosophy is Dune-esque. So I guess I should have expected it to be a little bit more dense. But yeah, also, right when I started reading this book, I was getting off of being sick, and I hadn't read for like a couple weeks, like anything, like at all. And yeah, this was not the book to like get back into reading with, just because of that. It took a while for me to really get into it. I liked what happened in the beginning, but there were a lot of moments in this book that were a little bit slow. The pacing was kind of all over the place, in my opinion. Like, there were parts that were really good. I felt like there was a lot happening. The world building is awesome. Character relationships being built, I thought was great. There were certain sequences that were, fast-paced, really fun to follow, but there was also very large lulls throughout this first book that were just kind of hard to get through. Alas, I did. And yeah, I mean, everything that happened in the book as far as like the cool stuff was really awesome. Some of the stuff was hard to follow. There's just a lot of character names, and I kept getting some of the characters mixed up, but I think I kind of have it figured out. As far as trying to remember the characters at this point, it's not coming to me. I know Hadrian and Crispin and their dad and all that, and like I know like who the characters are, but just remembering those names, I cannot do it. I'm sure once I read further into the series, it'll come to me, but yeah, there's just a lot going on there. One of my favorite parts about this story is it being first person. What I've found recently over the last year of me getting back into reading is that I really like first person stories. I don't have any problem with third person, but I find that first person allows you to convey a lot more emotion, and it's more engaging overall. And I think, first person presence pretty cool. This one is first person, I don't know what they call it. It's like a framing narrative, so it's Hadrian is telling you his story, which is also another kind that I really dig. So yeah, the fact that we know how the story is going to end just off the rip is really interesting, because it allows for so much theorizing and foreshadowing And even, Hadrian tells you, when certain characters show up, he's like, oh, this character ended up being like the bane of me. You know what I mean? So that part is kind of interesting because you're just like wanting to figure out, like, well, how is that going to happen? How are all of these aspects going to play into what we know is going to happen? So I think that part about it's really cool. Hadrian, in the future, him having destroyed a son, and I mean, he's responsible for genocide, which is, terrible, but I mean, that is kind of dope to be known for wiping out billions of people after destroying a son. That's kind of metal. So, I mean, it's absolutely terrible, but it's at the same time, it's pretty cool. So yeah, I'm interested to see just what happens and how all of these things that are being foreshadowed lead into what we know is going to happen. And obviously there's going to be 7 books, so I'm sure a lot of the things that are being foreshadowed in this book aren't going to matter as heavily because we're not exactly there yet for a lot of the stuff to really matter. We're still building up, and which is why I kind of give this book a pass, because, I mean, it's just all set up. The reason I did think a lot of what happened in this book to be a little bit boring is because this is just the origins, I'm sure as I get into the other books in the series, which I have right here, it's going to get faster paced, hopefully, and just cooler. There's a couple specific things I wanted to talk about that I thought was really cool. First thing being how the story plays with time. I think that the whole cryostasis thing, well, they don't call it that, but that's sort of what it is really cool. I'm interested to see how that is going to play into the series moving forward. Now, obviously, Hadrian has like these special genetics that are going to allow him to live for hundreds of years, probably. But I mean, even with that, on top of that, they do this thing where whenever they travel through space, because space is vast, it'll take forever to get from point A to point B, so they're frozen, almost like in Fallout. They're frozen, and they wake up once they get to their destination, and they're exactly how they were when they got put into cryostasis, but 40 years have passed, pretty much. Which I think is really interesting because, I mean, so much can happen, and the characters can't do anything about it. So it was really interesting seeing Hadrian, he's the elder brother, and then I think it was 35 years that passed. So considering, maybe Crispin, he's in his 40s probably now, or 50s even. So he's like a grown adult man, like a mature, normally, like for us, like normal humans, he'd be middle-aged, and Hadrian's still being in his early 20s, even though he should be older, I think is really interesting. So, like, if they reunite, Crispin being far older, I think would, it just adds, like, this dynamic to it. And who's to say that characters can't be asleep for, longer than that? Like, Hadrian was asleep for 35 years. It wasn't supposed to be that long, but who's to say a character can't be asleep for hundreds of years and see how much changes outside of that perspective? That's pretty cool. But going into like what happens right after Hadrian being in cryostasis, the whole part where he's on the streets trying to figure stuff out. He doesn't know what happened to him. He got dumped or whatever. But then he finds the girl Kat, which I thought that scene, like that sequence of events where he's with Kat, was very sweet. I liked her a lot. And, you know, that is also another interesting plot point and story beat that I like, is that, you know, these characters are so OP that, and they're gonna, like, they have near, I'm not gonna say immortality, but they're, just for the sake of me trying to explain my thoughts, let's just say immortality, even though it's not what it is. Compared to, like, these normal plebeians, these normal, just everyday folk, Hadrian might as well be a demigod, you know? So they're all dying of diseases, and, you know, Hadrian, being damn near immortal, has to watch people he loves die around him. You know, he's gonna, even if he, even if they didn't die of disease and whatnot, he's still gonna outlive them, you know, by hundreds and hundreds of years. It's sort of like the, you know, in Invincible, when Omni-Man's like, what will you do in 500 years? You know, that kind of thing, I think is very interesting. If you put things into perspective for somebody who's gonna live so long, just the scope of their life is a little bit different. All of these people, like the lives of normal people, end up being somewhat insignificant, which is always something I really thought was interesting. We see this a little bit, if you take elves in Lord of the Rings, for example, or just whatever, characters that live thousands of years and they have friends that are normal humans. You know, the normal humans will live out their lives and then die, you know, let's say 60 years. And for these people that are going to live a very, very long time, it seems like a blink of an eye and now their partner's dead, even though it's been 80 years. That sort of thing. It's not exactly the same, but it gives me similar vibes. I just think that whenever I've seen it done in fiction, it's just really, really compelling. And yeah, that's something, an aspect that I like about the story, is just how it plays with time in both of those aspects. By the end of the story, one thing that I really liked is now we're having this like crew building sort of deal. We're making this ragtag group of space heroes. It's, again, I've talked about this recently in my newer Red Rising review. That's something I liked a lot about Lightbringer, is it just gives me some space western kind of vibes. Space opera, space western, they're similar in a lot of ways. Just that crew, that ragtag crew of characters from all walks of life. That's what I dig that a lot. Traveling through space on their little ship, and that's what I'm sort of getting in reading the back of Howling Dark. They're basically going to go fight, you know, cyborg space Vikings now. So, I mean, that's pretty dope. Yeah, I mean, it's just really cool what's happening. By the end, I'm pretty sure the character's name is Aloran. One of my favorite characters at the moment. I think that he's really cool. He's got 3 swords, which, you know, is kind of like Zoro from One Piece. And then he gives Hadrian one of his lightsabers at the end, or high matter swords, or what, they're lightsabers pretty much. But so Hadrian has a lightsaber now, and I just can't wait to see Hadrian sort of not rank up, but again, one of my favorite parts about Saxon Tales even was watching Uhtred, you know, gain infamy, and, you know, throughout the 13 book series. You know, at the beginning he's just like a no-name dude, and slowly through his heroic deeds and like doing cool shit, by the end he's one of the most well-known and feared warlords in all throughout the land. And you see that gradual rise to infamy, and I can't wait to see something similar with Hadrian, just on a far, far larger scale, being, throughout the galaxy, and what we know that he does is destroy the sun and stuff. So yeah, all of that, I just can't wait for moving forward in the series. And you guys know I'm a sucker for a little bit of a romantic subplot. So what he's got going on with Volca here, I'm all here for, and I can't wait for maybe some stuff to happen. That's all I'm gonna say. Moving forward, he does say that when she's first introduced in the book, he says that even where he's at now, he's never been able to really pin her down. Pause. As far as really capture her attention. That's sort of how I interpreted it. She's kind of her own thing, so I'm interested to see how that plays out. But there's obviously some romantic tension, and just being inside Hadrian's head with all that is also engaging. So that's something I'm looking forward to as well. So overall, I think I ended up giving it a 4 stars on Goodreads, just because I wanted to like it more. I wanted it to be at a 5, but it just wasn't for me. And seeing that the score, on Goodreads, was already about a 4, made me not feel as bad, because it's well, it looks like that's the common consensus. Sure, some outliers might like it more or less, but about a 4 is what most people gave it. And I'd say I'm right in there. Hopefully, as I go on, I like the series more, because I really want to like it. I liked this book a lot for what it was setting up and what it had to offer, but I realized that from a lot of the stuff that I didn't like, the pacing being a lot slower and just not a lot happening in this book, I recognize that it's just set up. So I'm sure there's some great things to come. So that's probably going to be about it. I just wanted to put my thoughts out there and let you guys know what I thought about Empire of Silence. As far as when I'm going to start Howling Dark, I would like to soon. Currently, I'm in the middle of reading Oathbringer, which, you guys know, it's going to take forever. It's a huge book, but I'm already about 10% of the way through it. That's something I planned on reading with my girl this summer, throughout the summer. So at certain points, if I'm waiting for her to get caught up with me, and in fact, she hasn't even started it yet, so I'm already ahead, I might pick up Howling Dark and try to crush that. So those are the 2 books that I'm going to kind of be going back and forth with, trying to get through this summer, so hopefully I'm able to get to it soon. And as always, thank you all for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed. And like I said at the very beginning of the video, if you guys have read Empire of Silence, definitely let me know what you guys thought in the comments. If you guys are further in the series, let me know, sort of what I can look forward to without spoiling it, of course. Let me know if you guys think it gets better, or, if you think I'm going to like it more moving forward. I would greatly appreciate it too. So yeah, that's going to be about it. I'll catch you guys in the next one.